It starts at the end of a road. Not a dramatic place, just a narrow stretch of cracked pavement where the streetlights stop working and the trees press in too close. The kind of place where your headlights don't just light the road, they feel like they're pushing something back. A group of 4 pulls up just after midnight. They've heard the stories. Everyone has. But stories are just stories until you're there. They kill the engine, and that's when they notice how quiet it is. No wind, no insects, no distant traffic, just stillness. And then something moves. Not across the road, just inside the tree line. One of them swears they saw a shape. Small, pale, too round to be a face, too large to be a head. They laugh it off until the second one sees it too. And then a third. Now the light catches it fully. A figure. Too thin. Too still. Head. Too big for its body. It doesn't run. It doesn't hide. It just watches. And then another. And another steps out behind it. Hey, I got a new one for you. Have you heard of the Melonheads?
The candy?
I'm Miguel.
And I'm Ed.
And you're listening to The Neighborly Unknown. Won't you be our neighbor? So as we've talked about before, Ohio has this habit of needing its own legends.
Right.
Melonheads aren't originally ours. They show up nearly 1,000 miles away in Connecticut. Same name, same description, same unease. Okay. Which raises the question, are these 2 different legends? Or the same story told in 2 different forests? Most versions start the same way, with a doctor. A name that keeps coming up. Dr. Crow. No records, no proof, just a name that refuses to disappear.
There's no proof?
No proof.
No records either, huh?
Well, the story goes that he ran a secluded institution for children with hydrocephalus, a real condition that causes the skull to swell.
Okay.
But his treatments, that's where the story turns.
Okay.
Too experimental, too cruel, too far. And depending on who you ask, the children either escaped or something happened inside that building that forced them out.
So they were potentially his patients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And whatever came out of those woods wasn't the same thing that went in.
Okay, cool.
There's another version too, less clinical, more American nightmare. It's no doctor, no institution, just a family. Hidden deep in the woods, cut off from the world, generation after generation, folding in on itself. A hills have eyes kind of story.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that one.
In that version, Melonheads were never created. They just never were found.
Okay.
And here's where it gets interesting, because unlike a lot of cryptids, there's no first sighting.
There's no report that you have of someone seeing it first off. No,
No definitive.
Newspaper? Okay.
No.
Okay.
In fact, the stories were around before they started getting newspaper reports.
Oh, interesting. Because this is different from the last 2 that we had, where there were specific sightings, repeated specific sightings, and documented sightings.
Yep. Not a single moment where someone said, "Hey, this is it. This is where it started.
Yeah.
This is it."
Yeah.
So, instead, the legend just appears. In Northeast Ohio, it was the 1950s through the 1980s. Near Kirtland, teenagers start telling the same story. Late night drives, back roads, headlights cutting through the trees, and then shapes near the tree line.
Yeah.
Small, still, watching. Sometimes the light catches a face. Pale. Too round, too large, and then it's gone. Not chasing, not running, just there.
So I'm gonna stop you there. I actually, I'm older or younger, excuse me. So I was not around in the 80s, but this is what we did. Like, this was a rite of passage to try to drive through this area and find, because I'm from Lake County.
Yeah.
I grew up there, and those stories persisted through my childhood as well. And when you get your driver's license, that's what you do. You kind of drive around and look for these little creatures in the woods and stuff like that, you know.
Like the back roads.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of hits on that analog horror craze that's been going on right now with things like back rooms, and they're getting a new movie, actually. A24 is doing a back rooms movie, which, because that's good job for those YouTube creators who did that. And so like a lot of the analog horror is like really big right now.
Really?
And
so, yeah, that's cool. Well, maybe that'll spark more of this interest too.
Yeah. And there they are, just there, waiting for you to leave.
Yeah.
In Connecticut, around the same time as here, there are different roads, but it's the same story. Figures standing just inside the woods, silent, watching. But here the tone shifts slightly. Because in some of these accounts, they don't just watch, they move. They follow. And sometimes they don't keep their distance.
Do they attack? Do you have any...
In Connecticut, sometimes.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they're ornery in Connecticut.
They're ornery. I mean, you would be too if, what we'll get into later, but especially the hills have eyes aspect of it. Yeah, sure. And that's how the legend spreads. Not through news reports, not through official records, but through whispers. Through high school stories, through rites of passage, through you wouldn't believe what we saw nights.
Yeah.
Till eventually, it's not just a story anymore. It's a place you don't drive.
Yeah. Very cool. So I'm going to set the scene a little bit, right? Kirtland, Ohio. We'll talk a little bit about the other stories as well, but our focus is, Ohio, of course. So Kirtland, Ohio is very close to where I grew up, right? It's an interesting area because it's close to highly populated areas, but it's not highly populated. Like the population of this area is very low. I think it's like in the 7,000 range, and it's got a lot of wooded areas, right? So these small back roads and windy areas. It's very dark there, so there's that. And it's got that little bit of a what's in the woods, There's not a ton of homes there. They can't really, from what I've read, farm a lot of the land, right? So it's just like this densely wooded area, right? It's interesting. Kirtland was the home of the Mormons, right? The first Mormons came here, and they built their not like a church. I don't think it's a church, but a temple. A temple, and it's like still there, So it was settled later, right, than most other places in Ohio. And it kind of has remained kind of this like densely wooded little area. But what's cool about these stories, right, is these doctors in the woods, and I love this stuff, right? The whole like government potential experimentation after World War II. What's the government doing? And that's where a lot of this stuff kind of starts to come around is, doctors in the woods experimenting on children potentially. It's very cool to do that. And why not, right? Kirtland, Ohio, it's this kind of like weird area that's, borderline kind of densely forested, but also kind of, there's people who are living all over the place, but, it's borderline to where we live, right? So it's like highly populated suburbia, area. And this is like weird government stuff and buildings and nuclear testing and all this experimentation and all this kind of hysteria, right?
Well, wasn't there like in the 80s, wasn't there a Mormon serial killer?
Yes.
Yes. Out there in Lake County as well?
Yeah, there was. Yeah. His name escapes me right now. I'll think, but yes, correct. Yeah, he was kicked out of the Mormon following for being a little too crazy. Go figure. But yeah, there was a whole like murder story in that area. I don't want to derail this, but it's a weird area, right? I mean, there's it's not just like this normal little thing. There's heavy religious stuff that has happened in this area for a long time, and it's not like the Mormons were just like hanging out and having a good old time. They were persecuted and they had to leave the area. So there's a little bit of that, and we can get into this later too, potentially, if you wanted to, but maybe a curse was placed on the area, before they left. But yeah, the little bit of a strange or weird history there, right? So we talked a little bit about kind of this has this edge of the world feel to it. We've already talked about that with kind of like Grassman before, and even the early stuff with Bessie, where wilderness is butting up against civilization, a little bit. So the folklore stuff, you talked a little bit about it, right? So this actually happened. There's a story in Michigan too, which is not as good, so I don't want to talk about that as much.
And if somehow you're listening outside of Ohio and Michigan, there is this rivalry between Ohio and Michigan. Yes. So we don't want to give Michigan too much credit for anything. No. So
well, my family actually listens to the podcast, so I don't want to bash them too bad. But their stories, it's just not as good. But the Connecticut stuff is good too. You talked a little bit about that. I actually dug a little deeper into the Connecticut stuff, and that one actually, there's another story that goes back to kind of like witchcraft stuff. All right. I'll get into that as well, but there's two stories. So it goes back a little bit to the Puritans. Again, a little bit of a religious connection there, where witches were kind of cast out of this community, and they thought there was some kind of like inbreeding or something, which created these bulbous head children that were kind of walking around in the woods as well. And then fast forward to doctors and burning down, asylums and all this fun stuff. So it's happened in multiple areas in the United States, right? There's stories that appeared in Michigan, Ohio, and Connecticut during this time. So it's not just exclusive to Ohio, although Ohio carries the one of the bigger stories. So that's important to know. The interesting thing that I like about the folklore is the danger in the woods, right? And that's something that is a little creepy, with this story. It gives it a little bit of a scarier vibe, with this thing. It's like, what's in the woods? People that are in the woods that are kind of like a little bit scary. Goes back to European times, actually. I found some stories of like in Germany, the Bavarian region, where they had these documented, or Melonhead families and stuff like that were out there. I know. So it all these stories get traced back somewhere else, kind of, and this one does have some European vibes to it as well. And then the hydrocephalus. Did I say that right?
I think you did better than I did.
Okay, so. Good. I had to practice a million times. It's a real thing, right?
Yeah,
it's like a real disorder. And when you're combining it with kind of this time period where like people are being experimented on, or people think that they're being experimented on in their communities and stuff like that, it's not something that was readily available to be treated at that time, so there's a little bit of that. And then, getting into getting into the teenager stuff, right? And it's a
Yeah.
rite of passage to kind of go into there. And a Friday night little thing where you're driving around this town and these back roads and trying to generate kind of a fear factor. And what did you see? And someone saw something. You got 4 people in the car and the people looking out the woods. It's easy to think you see something or see something, actually see something in the woods, which is kind of cool. And that's kind of the quick, little jump on these sorts of things. Give you a little bit of background on this stuff. The Dr. Crow, Ohio story where he experimented on kids, definitely the best one that I think is out there, for us.
Here and Connecticut both claim for Dr. Crow. So
you saw his name in Connecticut too, really?
Yeah. So it's some of the exact same story. Like it either jumped from Connecticut to here, or it jumped from here to Connecticut. So
or he jumped from Connecticut to here, researching on the same children, and
had 2 different asylums.
2 different
asylums. Well, there we go. We've started a new one.
Yeah,
so.
Right. Absolutely. Wow. I didn't. You know what? I didn't know that he had the same name.
Yeah,
it's a cool name.
Yeah.
I mean, Crow would be a great name for a doctor. It'd be a little scary. I don't think I would go see a Dr. Crow for my ailments.
No.
But yeah.
But if he was rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara, doing the Crows Have Eyes movies from Schitt's Creek. And, so that's, that would have been perfect for her if that was her character name, Dr. Crow.
Dr. Crow.
Yeah.
That's cool. One other thing to mention, real road, right? Real communities. So these are all real. There's not much that we can point to that is real aside from these are real places, right?
Yeah.
And the stories are real. So it's Wisner Road in Kirtland.
Yep.
And the one in Connecticut, I think they call it, Dracula Drive or something like that, which I don't think is the real name. But they all call it that. So if you're going down Dracula Drive, you expect trouble in Connecticut.
Well, and Kirtland, it's not just Kirtland; it's also Mentor. It's like a lot of different places over in Lake County. So,
yeah.
And Melonheads don't just explode into public consciousness; that kind of spreads. Like any good story, like any good cryptid story, it's something that infects rather than just it's here. Mm-hmm. So. This one was a little bit more quiet, though. In Kirtland and nearby towns, sometimes between the 60s and the 80s, the stories stopped being isolated. Because now it's not just one group of kids, it's everyone. Different cars, different nights, same story.
Yeah.
Here, the tone shifts slightly. Because in some of these accounts, they don't just watch, they move. They follow. Sometimes they don't keep their distance.
Yeah.
You drive out to the edge of town, you park, you look into the trees, and eventually you see something looking back. Maybe it's coming after you. Maybe it's not. That could be the difference between Ohio and Connecticut.
Yeah.
This is the moment when the legend locks into its identity. It's got small figures, oversized heads, pale skin, standing just inside the woods.
So are they all like kids? Is that the idea? Okay.
Kind of kid height.
Yeah.
And so...
Does that make it creepier? I think it makes it creepier. Yeah.
Because what's a child doing out in the woods at night?
Yeah, right.
So,
just staring at you with this giant head. Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Well, we're not too far away from the Appalachians. And, you don't want to be out in the Appalachians after dark. You don't want to be in the woods in the Appalachians.
Yeah.
Wandering around. You don't want to be whistling in the woods in Appalachia.
Yeah.
And so, even here, if you whistle in the woods after dark, that's still a no-no.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, you're just, what are you doing? You're asking for trouble.
So again, Ohio, they don't chase you, and they don't attack. They just watch.
Yeah. again, I think that's creepier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why? It's like, yeah, I don't want to derail your story here, but like, why are they not attacking you, or why are they not chasing you? Like chasing you, you run away, but then they just stand there. They're like, I don't know. Should you help them, or should you just stay away?
Well, and I think it says something about ourselves, but we'll get into that later.
Okay.
So, there's no newspaper headlines. There's no official reports, but it just makes it stronger. Because this isn't a story that you read. It's a story that someone you know swears happened to them. And it's when it becomes real. Like, you're someone I know. You grew up in that area.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that you maybe saw something.
So I never personally saw something. But if I remember correctly, I was in a car, and I believe someone was like, I saw something out there. You know, I mean, this was like, I was like 16, and I mean, just driving around like a bunch of idiots, little kids. But yeah, I mean, everybody had stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Late 90s, early 2000s, like, if you did have a cell phone, it was one of those brick ones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
like,
it's still dark. Even like headlights and stuff, you don't think about this. We didn't have LED headlights. So like the headlights barely lit up the road in front of you. So it's just like, I mean, just pure darkness out there, basically, And you can't even really see homes a lot of times. It's just like roads with woods. You know what I mean? So, and they're out there. They're just watching you.
And the
kids.
Internet with its one secret trick to keep your headlights boosted through the woods is not something that happened during that time.
No, right. Right.
So then we get to the middle. This is the evolution of the story here.
Okay.
So middle story is when it changes from watching to threat. And this is where it's kind of more the Connecticut based.
Okay.
Originally, the Melonheads just existed, right?
Yeah.
Just watching there. But over time, they start getting closer. Now the stories change. People don't just see them, they are followed. Cars are driving too slowly down back roads, start noticing something that's keeping pace.
Really?
Along the tree lines.
Oh, this is good. Oh, my gosh.
There's branches snapping, footsteps where there shouldn't be footsteps.
Oh, no.
Again, this is also coming over to Ohio at that time, too. So it spreads here, too. Yeah. And then come details that weren't there before. There's scratches on car doors. There's figures stepping closer to the road.
Okay, now we're getting creepy.
There's multiple Melonheads appearing at once. That's the shift. Moving from just watching to, something else.
Yeah.
Originally it was curiosity. But now it's territory. It's encroachment.
So, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but I'm going to ask it. Like, was that area, in Connecticut where this maybe they're being more aggressive? Was it being like developed, more like in that area?
Yeah, this is also going to be a little bit more rural, like Kirtland is, and so it's not going to be like right in civilization. It's going to be all right on the edges.
Okay.
So
it's still kind of like that, I guess. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
And this is where the legend starts to feel cinematic.
Yeah.
More dramatic descriptions, more danger, more certainty from the people telling it. And I can tell you this scratch right here on my car, this on my door, that's those Melonheads, man.
Okay.
It's the more certainty from people telling it. Because now the story isn't just being passed around, it's being performed. Each retelling raises the stakes just a little more. So, what changed? Maybe nothing out there in the woods, but everything changed out here. More people are driving down these roads, more competition for attention when telling the story, a need for the legend to stay interesting. Again, social media was just in its, infancy at that time. So you've got like MySpace. You're not going to be telling Melonhead stories on MySpace.
Right.
Reddit, was beginning, and Reddit stories wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's interesting too because I'm also wondering if because the stories picked up that more people are out there, and so the Melonheads in that area are becoming more aggressive because their territory is being encroached upon more.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like a retaliatory thing.
it could be.
It's interesting.
And really, creatures that just watch, that, like you said, it's creepy.
I know, right? Yeah.
But a creature that might follow you home, that sticks.
Oh yeah. Is that what you saw ones that might follow you home? These kids might. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it becomes even a bigger of a warning. Like, don't go out there.
Yeah,
like
right.
they'll follow you home.
Yeah, don't come back.
Yeah. So today the Melonheads are still around, but they've changed yet again. So drive out near Kirtland now, and you'll still hear the warnings. You'll still find people swapping stories. But you'll also find something new. People going there on purpose. Late night drives just aren't dares anymore, they're content. Photos, videos, haunted road lists. The legend hasn't disappeared, it's been repurposed. And that raises the question, are people still afraid of the Melonheads, or do they just like the idea of being afraid? Because now, the creature lives in two places. Out there in the woods, maybe, and online, where the story keeps getting retold.
Yeah.
It's become something almost nostalgic. A shared experience, a rite of passage. And see, this is my problem with paper, is that I don't have my things on the right pages.
Have you ever heard of staples?
Yeah, see, I needed to staple it, and I just figured being loose paper was going to be easier. But,
I know what you mean. You make an interesting statement about like being afraid. I thought that this story kind of wasn't as popular now. When I was young, but I still see stuff like when I was looking at all this stuff. I still see people like go out to these places and try to hear something or see something. So I don't know if it's like as popular maybe but it's definitely like still a thing. It's people posted some stuff on there and they have stories, like really modern stories, of this stuff. So
I mean, some of the biggest like creators, and sometimes I don't like that word because but since we're technically now creators as well, is that cryptid stories, these ghost stories, things that make us afraid, they're big.
Oh yeah,
for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's where we want to be.
Yeah, I almost went there. I was texting you. I almost went there, but I wasn't going to go back at night. I'm not scared cat to do that at night. But to kind of just revisit the area, because you really don't have a reason to go down there unless you are from that area or you want to chase this stuff. So it's like off the path, mostly. But I didn't. I don't like to be scared that much.
Yeah.
So. And I knew as soon as I would drive over there, I'd get like freaked out. Even in the daytime. So, so I didn't go.
I understand and appreciate that.
So our listeners can tell me that I'm not that brave with these things. I'd go looking for Bessie, maybe Grassman.
Well, he's been sighted too, so I don't know if we summoned him, but he's not around anymore. I guess he left with the meteor that exploded over us. But
I know. Yeah, he jumped on that. Yeah,
he jumped on that. I saw this one theory on, I think it was on Threads, but it was that it opened a portal, and he just stepped through, which I'm like, okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
I haven't heard a spike in Nessie, so I wanted to say that we summoned him.
Well, it's not summer yet. No one's on the lake, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
we have
true.
to wait for that one. But I think it'll happen. But
more people on the river. I mean,
you're right.
I've seen kayaks out there a few times. But,
Have you? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Melonheads didn't need proof to survive. They just needed people. Keep driving down that road. to keep looking into those trees and to keep wondering what's looking back.
Yeah.
So this is a very powerful cryptid story for our time, because whether we realize it or not, we're standing at an intersection where history and legend keep brushing up against each other. The earliest versions of the story emerge in the shadow of post-World War II America, an era where institutions expanded, where vulnerable people were often hidden away, and where what happened behind closed doors was rarely questioned from the outside. And that's where Melonheads began to take shape. Not in the center of society, but at its edges, out in the rural spaces where fewer people are watching, out where things can be kept out of sight. And that's what makes this legend feel different from a lot of others, because the fear here just isn't, there's something in the woods. It's something more unsettling than that. What if the woods are where we put things we don't want to see?
Yeah, I like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in some of this stuff that I was looking at, are we really afraid of these big head children in the woods?
Yeah.
Or are we afraid that, like, we created this situation? You know what I mean? Like, that we cast these people out of society, you know? And that goes back to the original Connecticut story is kind of be wary of who you send out there, into the woods, and that's what you do. But I that really resonated with me. Are we afraid of them, or are we afraid of like what we did? And that's why they're staring at us like, look at what you did to us, like we're here because of you. And that's I don't know, that's pretty creepy. There's a guilt aspect of it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes this kind of mirror, a distorted one, but recognizable.
Yeah.
I mean, they reflect the idea that when something is hidden away long enough, whether it's people, harm, or consequences, it doesn't disappear. It just changes shape in the telling. That's, I think, where it becomes most interesting. Because I don't think it's just about the fear of the unknown. It's about recognition. That uncomfortable moment where something in the story feels less like a monster and more like something we've already tried to forget.
Yeah.
It's not punishment, not judgment per se, but a reminder that stories like this don't come from nowhere. And they come from somewhere that we don't fully process. Maybe that's why the Melonheads persist. Not because they're waiting in the woods, but because the question that they raise never really goes away. What happens to things that we refuse to look at?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I mean you make some good points, right? And I really like the idea of these kids are out there because we've in a way forced them, right? I mean, the Dr. Crow thing, right? That's if you want to look at it like big picture, that's like society, taking care of these things that we don't want anything to do with, basically. Like, I mean, this hydrocephalus is like a real thing, but it's a little creepy. I mean, I saw some pictures, and I apologize for anybody who has this disorder, but I can see psychologically how it can, stand out for people, like mentally. You know what I mean? Like looking at people with this disorder.
Yeah.
And the woods, already have this connotation of it's borderline society, especially when you're in these communities. So it's like there's no rules out there. There's no rules for Dr. Crow, right? And there's no rules for these kids. So I really like that kind of way of looking at this. It's like I don't know. It's creepy. It's like it's almost like they're punishing us, or they're trying to punish us for this situation. like psychologically, you know.
Yeah, it becomes sort of like ghosts, and I mean, granted, we haven't talked about any ghosts yet,
No.
but ghosts are kind of like that haunting
Oh yeah.
of our conscience and ourselves,
Yeah.
and so I think it's both and it's that this and something else maybe
Yeah.
is that it's something we don't really want to look at, but something that we need to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the government stuff I love, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the 80s movies, and we didn't talk about this, right? But like a lot of the movies from like the 70s and 80s that were coming around with like the sci-fi stuff, there's always a government element. There's always, and they're not good. Like they're not nice people, right? They're doing something shady, and some kids are trying to, I'm not really trying to talk about Stranger Things, but like it's similar to the Stranger Things vibe, right? I mean, but that's a culmination of all of these movies that were these science fiction films that had the government element in it, and experimentation or weird things, going back to like E.T. and all this kind of stuff, and it already had that vibe, going on in this area that maybe propelled this through the 70s and through the 80s, because it fit right into that narrative. It's like, what's the government doing out there? What are they experimenting with? And everybody's already kind of on edge about this stuff after the war, right? Yep. And these, like you said, these institutions just got like ramped up. The funding just went through the roof, and people were doing more building of government complexes and stuff like that. The institutions just, got supercharged basically during this time, and the trust in these systems was a little weary because, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's new. It's new. Institutions were not that big prior to World War II. I mean, they existed, but then they just went crazy, and people were like, wait a minute. They've got to be experimenting with kids over there. Like, I know they are,
Yeah. Oh, and it's, I mean, like now we've got huge mistrust of government. We've got a huge mistrust in our institutions and our structures, and so it's kind of like we put the national fears from those 1950s, 1960s. On a little bit of speed, a little bit of cocaine there in the 1970s and 80s.
Yeah.
And now we've elevated to this different spot. So it might be, we might be seeing more Melonhead stories coming out in that case, because we've got that distrust of institutions. And of course, they're going to have some place like a bunker out in the middle of the woods, out in Lake County somewhere. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like, I mean, they don't want people out there driving down these roads. Like, you're not welcome. It's not like, hey, come and see the Melonheads, right? And if you're driving, well, if you drive crazy anywhere, police are gonna stop you. But if you're hanging around at night, police are gonna come and stop you. And I think that just like fuels this, right? Because it's like, wait a minute, I'm not doing anything really. I'm just hanging out looking for stuff in the woods. Oh, government officials are stopping me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe there is something out there. Maybe there is a Cold War era bunker left. You know what I mean? Like we talked about the actual home of this Dr. Crow being burned, right? Yeah. But if like the Melonheads are still there, was there another facility? Was there? The area's not developed. Like it's not like they clear cut all the trees and like knocked everything down and put up brand new homes. You know what I mean? It could still be under there,
Oh, yeah.
It still could exist, But where I grew up, in a small town called Willowick, we actually had a park, and there was an old, from what I know, a missile base there, and they put a park right over top of it, basically. Yeah. This area had government facilities all over the place. Cleveland was, or the Cleveland area, right, was always kind of like high on Cold War stuff, Target per se, because we built tanks here. At the IX Center, the old IX Center. Sorry, I don't want to derail this, but...
No, I mean, we're part of the Rust Belt, and just go up the road a little bit to Erie, Pennsylvania, and you've got a ball bearing factory there, which,
Oh, yeah.
ball bearings and everything.
Yeah, you need...
So,
right.
But highly, highly used for military tech, and so, I mean, you were, like... Oftentimes now it's going to be like, nobody's going to pay attention to Cleveland because, we don't do that now. No, we're not manufacturing military stuff. But, it's like back then in the day, we were. Yeah. We were going to be one of those high targets for nuclear war or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah. And it's easy to, maybe it was forgotten. Maybe this facility is just burned down or whatever is forgotten, experimentation. Kirtland's an interesting place, though, right? I mean, like the regional area you just mentioned like Rust Belt and being there, but like we always do this, like kind of like why Kirtland? What are you thinking of this? Kirtland Menor, you can kind of mind it, but yeah, and well, I mean. Just recently going out to the Holden Arboretum last weekend. Oh yeah, beautiful out there, isn't it?
Yeah, and like just driving through there to get to the Holden Arboretum, like you can tell like you can't really develop these areas. No. There's the woods are very thick and you're gonna have a lot of back roads. You're gonna have a lot of rocky areas. You got little cliffs, little hills, and can't really justify calling them mountains, having lived in Colorado and Montana. Yeah. But we've got like a lot of dense forestry around here, and that's not going to be something that you can easily see through. So. Yeah, obviously you can hide something out there, so that's probably why like Kirtland is like close. It's going to be, like not Cleveland, but also not so far out that it's rural Ohio.
Sure. Yeah. I like that. I was thinking about that a little bit. Right. It's like all these movies. I love movies. I'm a movie guy, and I love 80s movies and stuff like that. And I definitely love those cool, like, government's the bad thing kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to make it so far out if potentially that's what happened, right? Where no one could get to it. And if they see a vehicle, everybody gets suspicious, So it's like this area is just like, it's you can hide stuff there. But you're still not so far out that you can't get access to things if you need access, right? Yeah. And it's kind of a kooky area, right? Because of the weird stuff maybe that's happened, in the past with religious, things as well. Starting there very early, like 1811 or something like that. It's the Church of Latter-day Saints, I think, right?
Well, and like most offshoots of Christianity there. It started in Western New York. Which could start an entire podcast about that. Is that a lot of different offshoots started in Western New York and cults and all kinds of stuff. In fact, there's still some there. In fact, if you've ever gotten like Oneida glass thing. Yes. That's they're a cult. Yeah. They're still there in Oneida, New York.
They make great silverware.
I have a set of Oneida silverware too. Right. But they also do nice glass Corningware. It's coming from that area. Pyrex is also like they have their own cult history too. Yeah, that's it's interesting. Some of these things that you delve into there, but like the Mormons started in Rochester area. Yeah, and this was kind of one of their first stops. If you're going west, you're going to run into the Great Lakes. Then you're going to run into Lake Erie, and you're coming right around. So,
interesting.
Yeah, of course you're going to stop in the woods. You know, it's a nice little area.
Yeah, right. It's beautiful. So I know. Yeah. So I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk about these stories. Yeah. Like, there's similarities, right? Mm-hmm. And I want your thoughts on these similarities because there's doctors, Dr. Crow.
Yep.
there's the same type of children,
Mm-hmm.
and there's fires, right? There's always like these things like burning down. You know what I mean? Like a home burning down or asylum burning down or whatever, a research facility, whatever you want to call it in Ohio. No one actually knows what it was or what it is or anything like that. Why do you think like fires burning down place and then kids escaping and then just like staying in the area and stuff? Do you think there's like any kind of like symbolism there, or do you think like literally the same doctor went from Connecticut to Ohio and the kids burned it down, or maybe he burned it down or something like that, and then it just follows like the same pattern, you know?
And in our new headcanon, it's going to be unlocked there. Is that he started in Connecticut and came to Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, fire definitely is symbolism. It's, I mean, almost all cultures all over the world, you know, it's purifying. It will uncover secrets. Yeah. Fire reveals things, and especially with shamans, with different people who you know, like our divinations, different things like that. Okay. Different cultures have different magics that surround fire. And fire always will reveal truths, and so I think that ties into that kind of cultural meaning there for it a little bit, is that there is that truth that we don't want uncovered, that's looking back at us from the woods. Yeah. And so, yes, I think that's probably why it's a consistent part of the story. Okay. But, you know, whether it's escaping or it's fire, I think that's why it got added, maybe. Okay. But I mean, it really depends, because it really gets shaped by the storyteller. It really gets shaped by, and it shapes us as well, as we've said numerous times by now. So
yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I think you touched on something really cool, is that it reveals the secrets, right? No one knows what's going on in these facilities. Maybe these kids were being, you know, abused or mistreated or like experimented on, you know, in a very weird way. But the fire, it stops all that, right? Like, you can't continue the experiments if there's a massive fire that burns down the facility, right? And it totally changes everything. But now they're loose, right? And they've got potentially nowhere to go, you know, I guess. What do you think about the fact that there's like, because we talked about this a little bit, there's no proof, like, of any of this stuff. Like, not that like Grassman had proof or whatever, or Bessie had proof, but these were potential buildings that burned down. These were people, right? And there's no like, we couldn't find any real records. I did find a story, and I was mentioning to you before we started, about a woman who gave her account of her great uncle who potentially was a Dr. Crow, but really still there's not really any. I did find potentially a grave somewhere, but like the name wasn't spelled the same way, but you know, whatever. But Crow's not necessarily a weird name. It's a popular name. So it could be anybody. But it's weird that there's no like real records of a lot of this stuff, you know? What do you think of that? Do you think it's just another government cover up?
I mean,
you know,
that's how a lot of conspiracy theories start. Sure.
Yeah, why not, right?
I mean, because of course you're not going to have any proof if it's a government cover up.
Yeah, right. So,
like, even though we've got, you know, the bottom part of the first moon lander actually being there on the moon still, right. You know, and actually just recently photographed. Yeah. But
but this stuff, I mean, like, no one was really paying attention to it. Yeah. You know, they weren't like snatching kids from communities and stuff like that. Like, they were potentially experiment. I love the government angle. I'm pushing the government angle, right? I'm pushing the Dr. Crow got these kids from the government and was allowed freedom to do it. There's a million versions of these stories, not a million, but there's a bunch of versions of these stories, but that's kind of my favorite angle, actually, because it fits into a narrative that I've created in my head that I love, and the fact that it kind of checks a lot of the boxes as to why maybe there's no real proof, right?
Yeah.
Or was there a building there? I don't know. You know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember one. Or, well, the fire, I don't remember a fire, you know, kind of going out. Well,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, we've got a lot of these almost built buildings around here that, you know, are preserved the way that they are in ruins. And could have been any of them. Like Squire's Castle. That's right on the edge of Lake County.
I know.
You know, right on the edge of Connecticut County here. And so you've also got Penitentiary Glen, where it's got that old house that wasn't exactly built yet. And like there's a little well, and there's like ruins there. It kind of looks like a chapel almost. Yeah. They closed it off to the public, I think, after I spread the photos. But it might not just be because of me. It could have been because a lot of people started going.
We'll say it's because of you. But, yeah, you have that power.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's entirely plausible because we've got a lot of ruins around here, and there's not a whole lot of documentation. Granted, you know, like, there's a lot of these things that did come to light later on, you know, afterwards that, you have that story, well, it was a book and then became a movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats, that John Ronson did, that story about this American military experiment, survey, not really survey, more scientific study of psychological effects of men who can make goats like fall asleep just by staring at them, and kind of goes off this MK Ultra, and MK Ultra we found out was real, and that they were actually doing like these weird mind altering things. So I mean, the government angle is a good one because there's a lot of these things that have come out. That, you know, it actually was a government experiment, and you know, like the things that they did to cover it up were kind of funny, but like the Roswell incident, you know, is that's another one where, you know, it turns out that it was a government cover-up for something else, which was, you know, like experimental aircraft at the time. But there was also, like, proof that there's also weird stuff going on at Groom Lake that could be aliens and like all this other weird stuff too. So.
Yeah, interesting. We don't love talking about, like, you know, the truth on this sort of stuff, right? That's not where we're here, but we do want to talk about, like, potential different interpretations of this story, or these stories. The one that, you know, I think kind of has the most sort of sense, or makes the most sense, for this is like this hydrocephalus it's like a real thing, right? Yeah. And Kirtland is rural, and that area in Connecticut is rural too. Again, we're not talking about Michigan because the story's not that great. But it's rural area, right? And during this time, this disorder, was not really treatable. Now it's highly treatable, right? Yeah. But it still is visible, right? So if you have children with this thing, right, hydrocephalus, and they live in New York City, whatever. No one pays attention to it, right? Or Cleveland, you know, downtown or whatever. During this time period, it's not really a big thing. People have, you know, disorders and problems, and you just recognize that. You go to Kirtland, where there's a couple thousand people. If you have people with hydrocephalus, it's very noticeable, right? People are going to see it. And because they don't, like, have sidewalks and stuff, you're walking down country roads to go get food. And maybe you walk at night because you don't want people to see you. You know what I mean? And so it's just, you know, it's a competing story could be that a family had children that had this disorder, and we're trying to protect them, you know, from society, from people making fun of them, giving them a hard time or whatever. And they did the best they could. Potentially, that's a competing kind of story. Maybe something burned down. Who knows? But like we talked about, there's always something burning down. You know, in these crazy stories. So you can make your own kind of rational sort of thing. And of course, the old Connecticut story, right, which had to do with the Puritans and some potential, witchcraft and stuff like that. Well, those stories are so old, they go back, but people still kind of remember them, right? Could have a little bit of a guilt thing involved in there. Maybe it existed, maybe it didn't. I don't know, but don't cast people out into society because it's not good, to do that. And that's why that might have, persisted throughout time. Let the listeners kind of, make their own judgment. But the cool thing is that these stories have persisted, right? Yeah. And you can't kill a story if people are debating the story still, and they're still being talked about, you know what I mean? Like people, I don't believe it, or kids are going out there, or people are going out there and driving around and doing it, and the story just it won't die. So, but what's funny? It hasn't really changed that much, right? The story has maintained its bones, different versions, but those versions haven't gone off the rails. You know what I mean? They've stayed throughout, the time that this started coming around, which I think is really cool, and we've noticed that a little bit kind of with the other stories is that they've maintained their kind of thing. There's some off ones, in there where, maybe something got a little bit more aggressive, but for the most part, they've maintained kind of the same stuff, at least for Kirtland. You talked about Connecticut, and those stories have changed, but we don't live in Connecticut. We live in Ohio, so who knows? The crow name, who knows, right? I mean, maybe, the doctor vibe, it could have been related to someone who was treating people with this disorder. It's a real disorder. It's a real thing, and they couldn't treat it back then. That much, anyway. So I don't know. What do you do? Maybe you send them to a doctor. Maybe you don't. Don't go to Dr. Crow. So, but again, not here to prove anything. I don't really care about the truth of these stories. We let the listeners decide, right? But those are the competing interests, or competing interpretations of these stories that still follow along with the disorder, right? And then it kind of goes from there. So, questions on any of that stuff? Any of the competing interests?
Well, there's still
interests.
more.
Interpretations.
Yeah, interpretations is there's still more. There's aliens, because.
You want to go into aliens? Yeah, I like the alien idea.
The alien idea, because that's why I was trying to lead you there too with the Area 51, the Groom Lake stuff.
Yes.
But
so the little aliens running around, running around in the woods,
because that's the same concept of they've got the big head, they've got the weird eyes. It's kind of that uncanny valley kind of thing that we recognize something as human but not really human, kind of thing, and so I like that interpretation.
That's a good one. I did go down that rabbit hole a little bit, and I thought about this, and it makes sense why they're not around all the time. Yeah, they can kind of go or whatever, or they have the ability to kind of maybe to disappear. I don't want to get into alien talk, but you know what I mean. Maybe they just come out at night and walk around in the woods, for a little bit.
I mean, it's a good place to do it.
You could hide stuff back there. You could hide a spaceship or something like that, back there.
You get a nice clearing.
Yeah, the aliens. The aliens is a good one. Obviously, government experiments. We talked about potentially government experiments going awry, things like that too. But the alien one's kind of cool. I like the alien one.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that we could take it too. If you wanted to, you could even it might be a stretch, but fae folk. fairies that, like, because they're also in the woods.
Yes.
They're also, you could also go nymphs. You could also go any other kind of folklorish ones that are in forested areas.
Yeah.
But with the Fae folk, especially, you've got changelings. So it could be just a potential changeling that's looking out at you from the woods. That, do you have a child with you? If you do, did you come back with the right one, or is it a changeling?
Oh, interesting.
So
That's cool. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna throw out different ideas.
No.
So.
And I did kind of allude to this at the beginning. Potential curse, right? From the Church of the Latter-day Saints when they left. They were not treated kindly when they were here.
Yep.
In this area, they had to leave. It was kind of like a midnight midnight run. Get out of town. Like, just get out of town before someone kills us or whatever. And there could be a little bit of a curse on the area, right? Yeah. And maybe these are a way to punish or to remind, people of what they did to the Mormons when they were here. I don't know, maybe.
Plenty of stories about things that we forgot that had come back to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And so maybe it's aliens, maybe it's children who were mistreated and lost to the woods, or maybe it's something else entirely. But whatever they are, the question the Melonheads leave us with isn't really about what's out there. It's about us. Are the Melonheads a symbol of what we're afraid of? Or what we imagine is watching us just from beyond the tree line? Or are they something simpler and worse? Creatures waiting just beyond the edge of the headlights for us to turn off the engine and step outside. Because in the end, cryptids don't just live in forests, they live in the space between what we know and what we can't quite prove isn't there. So thank you for sharing this time with us. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show, leave us a review, share it with friends, share it with somebody who's maybe a little too afraid of driving out into the woods at night, and that may want to park somewhere dark, especially as a teenager. Definitely want to keep them out of the woods for different reasons, but as always, be careful where you park. Thank you for being our neighbor.
Thanks.
Again, we're available anywhere that you get your podcasts. Also, please review and share us on all of those platforms. Whatever platform you use, it helps us to spread that out a little bit more. It helps the algorithm let people know that they're interested in Ohio cryptids for right now. We're going to branch out later, I'm sure, if we keep doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry for the late episode, but we've both been busy. I have kids, and so it's a little difficult to kind of schedule around them.
Yeah. Interact with us too if you have questions or anything like that. We love talking about this stuff, obviously. So please feel free to reach out to us and ask us anything you want to know.
Yeah, we're on most socials. All the meta ones. We're on Facebook and on Instagram and on Threads. And I went a little nuts with the different Grassman sightings because people kept calling him Bigfoot, but he's in Ohio, so it's the Grassman.
Right, I know.
And so, please interact with us on those socials as well. Again, helps the algorithms to let people know who might be interested in cryptids and hearing our stories. So,
sounds good. Thanks for joining.
Bye.